Lochaber, farewell to the glen. No more will he wander Lochaber again. The trout will come back from the deeps of the sea, the bird from the wilderness back to the tree, the flowers to the mountains and tides to the shore. But he will return to Lochaber no more.
This was the wasteland, the western highlands of Scotland. War and politics and sheer poverty had driven out the people who once lived here. Many went overseas. Many trudged south to Glasgow and Clydeside or over the border to England. To find work for themselves and life for their children, they had to go south, learn new ways of life, new trades, new skills. John Cameron, foreman electrician on a building site in Glasgow. Forced by economic pressures, he had to leave the Highlands. A Scotsman in Scotland, but an exile all the same. He had a wife and child and tradition to help him. The old Scots tradition of self-help. By day he worked, but most evenings he sat down to work again, to get education and the freedom that education brings with it. He meant to return to Lochaber, to his home by Ben Nevis, to the hills and glens of his childhood, unchanged by time, unchanged but now different. The hillsides were barren when John was a boy. The trees were seedlings planted by men with foresight and imagination. A damp day in July 1963 was the dawn of a great occasion. Wiggins Teep, papermakers, were shortly to build the first integrated chemical pulp and paper mill in Britain. For the world needs paper, and here in Lochaber and on countless other hills were trees, the raw material of paper. It had taken years of searching and planning to find a site with access to timber, pure water and supply routes, fundamentals of pulp and paper making. The only possible site in all Britain was in the western highlands of Scotland at Corpach, near Fort William. Forests of spruce, larch, fir and pine. Pure fresh water from Loch Lagan and Loch Tree. Deep salt water at the mouth of Loch Eel, gateway to the Atlantic, the forests of the Hebrides, and the sea road to Canada. The Caledonian Canal giving access to the North Sea. And the site could be expanded to multiply the output fourfold. For such expansion was already planned. The foundations of a great commercial enterprise had been laid. And so began a chain of events, an era of growth and change in the Highlands. Lack of work, lack of opportunity, drove John Cameron's forefathers from Lochaber. Now opportunity has returned. This is the world of men where John Cameron now lives and works, his efforts melting into the complex of the total project, a project which has attracted national attention. The mill is the center of the whole vast operation, the catalyst creating the pattern of growth and change. For the new community, there must be houses, schools, and more transport. The dying railway line must be revived to bring in timber, chemicals, and oil, and take out pulp and paper. And roads must be built into the forests. There will be more work in the forests, for the mill will need 10,000 trees a day. Half-grown trees thinned out of the forest so that others can grow to maturity. The growing of trees takes time and space. Time is the 30 years a seedling needs before it becomes a tree, and space is the highland hillside. The mill, too, is growing. Strange pieces of equipment and materials move towards Fort William. All the thousands of great and tiny details slowly, meticulously flowing together along a critical path towards the birth of a fantastically complex creature. When Wiggins Teep came to Lochaber, they knew that all the ingredients of an industry were in the highlands, and properly worked, the enterprise would thrive. John Cameron was the sort of man to help make it work. Here in this maze of growing industry, he has found not just another job, that when completed will mean picking up his tools and moving on. The mill has brought him back to the highlands, and he intends to stay. For his wife Mary, there is a new home. For his son Donald, there's a new school. For almost 3 years, the mill has slowly grown into the symbol of growth and change on the highlands, blending into the background of hills and trees and heather. The mill is ready. And the forests of Scotland are ready. The forest will thrive and continue to produce. For every tree cut down, at least 2 somewhere will be planted. But Scotland alone cannot produce all the timber that's needed. Hardwood must be brought from Canada. The freighters bring in their cargoes. Wood chips are grabbed from the holds and blown to the woodyard. By ships from across the sea and by road and rail from the forests of Scotland comes timber to the mill. Timber, the raw material of paper. Stripped of bark and thrust into spinning blades, the 10-foot logs are reduced in less than a second into 100,000 chips. Blown into the digesters, the wood chips are cooked with chemicals under high pressure and high temperature to a pulp. Pulp, but not pure pulp. It must be washed and bleached before it's ready to be made into paper. Some of the pulp made at Fort William is not as yet required for paper making there. It is dried to the right degree and dispatched to other mills. The rest is pumped directly to the paper making machine, a machine capable of producing 40,000 tons of paper a year. Suspended in water, the wood pulp fibers flow evenly onto the wet end. Less than 0.5% of the mixture will become paper. The remaining 99.5% is the water that has now served its purpose. The function of the machine is to remove this water. basic raw material of industry and learning. But first, it must be split into more manageable sizes. Then weighed and lowered to ground level, it starts the journey through the finishing end, where it is cut, sorted, and dispatched in sizes that printers can transform into books and magazines, business forms and brochures, exercise books and examination papers. The export from Lochaber was at one time men. Now the heavy trains run south with paper for the world. The hillsides of Scotland are alive with timber. The mill has brought life where before there was only desolation and beauty with none to see it. In the wasteland, there are men at work again. The exiles have come home. Machinery and chemistry, electronics and pneumatics, guided and controlled by human hand, have combined to transform trees into pulp and paper. 8 million pounds worth of pulp and paper that would otherwise come from overseas.